Hey folks, welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com for October 29th, 2007. First off, before we get into things, I just want to touch base on a few things. Number one, the chat room and swing trade alerts, and options alerts I should throw in there as well. The options market is tricky as always, but right now there's some great options plays setting up for the Fed meeting this Wednesday, which is going to be a big event, and I strongly encourage individuals to join up on the options alerts. Also, the swing trade alerts, we've set ourselves up nicely with some in-the-money plays right now on a possible decline in the market should that happen, and also on the long side. We will look to maneuver our plays in accordance with what we think the Fed will do and in accordance with how we expect the market to move. Also, the chat room continues to flourish. We have some individuals almost new every day. The chat room continues to grow, and overall, it's just an amazing atmosphere of people helping people, traders helping traders, amateurs, pros. If you're just looking to understand and learn a little bit about the markets, the chat room is wonderful because everyone in there is helpful in pointing things out, helpful in analyzing things from a technical analysis standpoint, and that's really what we're all about. It's all about helping individuals, helping the little guy, and that's where we come from. It's all about understanding the market makers, the big money, and how to use that against the big money to try and make money. Because let's face it, the small guy usually loses out, and what we try to do in this chat room is help the small guy win for once. And I do think that we've done a very nice job of that in the chat room, and everyone that contributes, everyone that belongs to that chat room has helped a great deal. Okay, let's get right into it. Overall, the market did some interesting things today. What we saw today was the NASDAQ moving up about 13 points, closing about 0.5% higher. The Dow up about 63.5, closing 0.5% higher, and the S&P up about 0.4%. And we also see the S&P closing up here about 5.7%, 5.7 points higher. Excuse me. Just looking over some data today. What we expected to happen today was almost right on the button here. And we talked about Friday as a possible gap up on Monday based on the strong move on Friday. In addition, we had Asia, and we knew Asia on the strong move in the U.S. markets on Friday would also have a nice move up, and that would help contribute to a gap up this morning. And that's exactly what we did. The markets gapped up. We made a move higher. We pulled back. We made a move higher. We pulled back. Overall, we stayed in a tight range today, and you can see the NASDAQ here. Very small bar here with a little dip on little tail on the downside, a little tail on the upside, showing us that we did have some fluctuations, but overall we closed pretty much right in the middle there where we opened. And you can see the intraday chart here, and I'm going to get my trend tools out so we can talk a little bit here. But overall, you see the top of the market right here, and the bottom of the market right here. Okay? Now, interestingly enough, as you see here, you see we basically had a channel all day. And you can basically see this channel here. We moved up, down, up a little down, up to the tops. And again, I point these channels out because it's very important to realize that if you're looking for a short opportunity and you're stuck in a channel, you better be shorting at the tops of the channel. Or if you're looking to go long, you better be going long at the bottoms of the channels. Because I know too many amateur investors, amateur traders, who are trying to short here. And what are you doing trying to short there? You haven't even broken lower. You have to wait for a breakdown on the downside. And the point here also is that you also want to look at your moving averages. As a trader, you have to live by those moving averages. They'll help you a ton. And what I mean by that is, well, if you're looking to go short here, okay, well, that's interesting. But not only are you at the bottom of a channel, but you're also sitting right on the 50 moving average. And in general, you're not only dealing with support of a channel, but you're dealing with the double support of the trend line of the moving average. So the point here being is that it's all about understanding trend lines, moving averages, and momentum, and volume candles, and so forth. Even level 2 to some extent on stocks. You have to know how to read level 2, and that's what we go over in the chat room, and that's why it's probably one of the best chat rooms online. For probably the least amount of money of any chat room out there, to be honest. Again, as we talk about some different moves in this stock, in the markets, I just want to point out here is that we are still hovering above this 20 moving average, and now we're looking at the daily NASDAQ chart. This is the daily. And as long as we hover above this moving average, I do think that there is some major support here. First close below the 20 moving average, and again, the yellow line's the 20, so any close below this point right here would be a very bearish signal in this market. I do happen to think we will break lower there. All right. Now, while we're still working on this, we have a couple points on the top line. Number one is a double top. Watch for a double top. This choppy market, and you guys can see how choppy it's been lately, is not necessarily a good sign. And many times that marks the topping of a market. So I'm not saying that we're definitely topping yet, and I won't call a top. And that's key, guys. I'm not calling a top here because you can't say a top is made until we break lower and break out of this channel here that we're making. And again, you can see this moving average is key. Everything that I base it on right here is talking about this 20 moving average. Should we break below, I will feel confident that this market will fall. And again, please understand, this is just my humble opinion, and it should not be taken as anything more than just an opinion that you're hearing. You should consult your financial advisors at all times based on what you think and what your financial advisor tells you to do. Do not listen and do not trade based on any of this information. In addition, what I want to just point out here, folks, and again, is we break below that 20 moving average here, more than likely we're going to see the 50 moving average. The 50 moving average has not been hit in a very long time, and it is getting close to the point where I would dare say we could see that. So what I'm watching for is a double top. Should we break above the double top, then you got to respect it, and it's going to go higher. Should we top out and then pull back down, and notice now what's going on here. The 20 moving average is moving up. The flat line double top is flat sideways. These two are meeting, and they're getting closer and closer here. So you're going to have a less and less space here as we travel out in time over the next 5-7 business days, and eventually it's got to go one way or the other. You're either going to break out to the upside, or you're going to break down. Depending on which way it goes, we have to respect it. That's what we do at InTheMoneyStocks.com. We follow the charts, and that's all we care about. The chart tells us to do this, we do it. No emotion, no nothing. Yes, we might think the markets are overbought or oversold, but when we base our decisions, you got to base it on the charts because the charts tell the truth. Emotion is emotion, and it sways everyone. You can't listen to it. Okay, now in addition, what I want to point out here is that you can also look at a couple other things here. If you want to connect the lower points here, we have a new line here. And this will be the first support line before the 50 that we'd have to break. Notice how you connect the low, near the low here, and it connects right into this low. This is a new trend line forming. So again, should we come down and break below and close over here, the next point you'd look for would be a position right here to hit and then maybe bounce. And we'll continue to follow that. Now let's look at the ES futures. The ES futures were up nicely today. And again, we stayed in the main channel. And as you guys can see this here, it doesn't take a genius to see the channel here that we were in. And this again is based on the Fed. You got the Fed Wednesday, and it's very important to realize that volume will be very light into the Fed. Volume today on the ES contracts was basically a little over 1 million contracts. That's as opposed to last week we were doing 2 million contracts a day. So about half the volume today. Tomorrow I have to say that unless we get some specific weird news out that the market's not expecting, volume should be this even lighter tomorrow, maybe in the 800 to 1 million contract range. And again, Wednesday leading up to the Fed, I do expect volume to be very light. However, once that Fed comes out at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time, volume will increase dramatically. And you're going to see pops every which way in this market. You're going to see moves up and down, and who knows what's going to happen. I honestly don't know. The Fed could pull a bunny out of the hat again and save this market and really bail this market out. Or they could say, hey guys, we've already bailed you out a few times now. It's not going to happen anymore. The dollar's too weak. Oil's nearing 100, by the way. Oil was up to $94 a barrel today. A few more days like this and we're at 100. And you got the gold nearing $800 an ounce. And it's just getting a little ridiculous because our buying power as a country or as individuals is on the decrease. It's decreasing immensely, and that worries me a lot because all of a sudden eventually it's going to cause inflation. Now, most of us know inflation is in oil, food, and energy. But the question is, when does it basically seep into everything else? And that's where it's really going to get interesting. All right, that's the basic market today. And there's not a lot to say aside from basically here on the ES chart, you're looking for a break of the 50 moving average on the downside. On the SPY, the big here, again, is the 50 moving average here. But what's interesting on the SPY is we did get above that 20 moving average today. Now, what we want to see is confirmation tomorrow. All right, if we can't confirm it, it falls back below, then you got to watch for the next break, which would be the 50 moving average right here. All right, so again, we did get above it, but we need confirmation tomorrow, and I'll update that tomorrow whether or not we get it. Should we get a move up again tomorrow and maybe go up here, then we're well above the 20 moving average, and we can start to analyze on a possible move back to a double top. But again, this market, the gut tells me that we're not out of the woods yet. Gut just tells me we're not out of the woods. And, again, we follow the charts, so we'll base it all on the charts. But I do have a gut in the back of my head saying, watch for a possible breakdown. All right? All in all, other than that, it was a wonderful day trading day again. We had some great moves in some Chinese stocks again. We also had a great move in Hoku, H-O-K-U. Alternate energy was very hot today. And this move was caught in the chat room, and it was actually one of the individuals that participates in the chat room brought it to my attention, and it was a great call. Absolute great call, great idea. We piled in here, right over here. This is all us buying probably, and off it went. We made all a nice chunk of money. In addition, all other solar energy plays, SOLF, China solar companies, were big yet today. And look at these. Look at this move here, all right? And I'm going to show you the daily. Look at this move. You're talking about, this is the daily move, basically 20 to 25% moves on some of these China solar companies. And they were caught in the chat room multiple times. So again, just great job by the people in the chat room, both amateurs and experienced traders. And everyone is learning so much, including myself. So I give a lot of credit to everyone. On that note, have a wonderful day. We'll be back on tomorrow at the new video and in the chat room tomorrow. Take care.